Okay. So, at this point, I would like to give you a very, very short presentation of this program, which is called MIRE, Music Imagery for Resilience and Emotion Regulation, a program that is an Erasmus Plus funded by the European Union as a vocational education and training for mental health professionals. And I am Evi Papanikolaou, representing SONORA, which is the coordinating organization of this program. So we coordinate the program, which we have actually made it real with the help of the Institute of Childhood Education and Psychology Europe, ICEP Europe. And Mirza can help me. Can you pronounce the Latvia's Perinatal the Perinatal Association of Perinatal Psychology of the Psychology Association of Latvia. Sorry, maybe it's not the right name, but I think I got it. So, Rebecca, would you like to say a little bit about your organization, ICEP Europe?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone, my name is Rebecca, and I work as a researcher for the Institute of Child Education and Psychology Europe, which is located in Maynooth, Ireland. We're a small SME, small business who mostly works in the areas of child education and psychology. We provide a number of courses, mostly to educators, special educators, and we focus on inclusion as well. And we work on multiple Erasmus+ projects, such as MIRE itself as well.
Thank you. Mirza? Mirza?
Sorry, I was mute.
Okay.
Now, okay, I'm here. We are an organization who works with prenatal education, with young couples, with pregnant women, and we disseminate knowledge about this important period. And music is a very important part of this. That's to be easy.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, SONORA is a non-profit organization. It's an organization for music therapy and research. And of course, we design and we provide therapeutic programs, music therapy programs for clinical settings, for the community, for health and well-being settings and educational settings as well. We provide trainings and special trainings for health professions or educators or even musicians, depending on what we want to do. And we develop tools around music and music therapy tools that can be used in clinical practice in many, many different populations and with different variations, of course. So we joined our forces for this training and what is this project about? I'm going to explain a little bit about what was this Erasmus project was. So actually what we want to do is to increase basic skills and knowledge of using music listening combined with mental imagery in psychotherapeutic and psychosocial settings. And this program, MIRE program, was designed for mental health professionals as a skill-enhancing course when working with trauma and stress-related disorder in a supportive way. So emphasis in that program is given to resilience and emotional regulation as it can happen with music, through the music, okay? Aided by music. And the program was designed for 10 trainees for each training group in 3 different countries, Greece, Ireland, and Latvia. As I said, it was designed for mental health professionals who work with people either in one-to-one or in groups, in private, in community, educational settings, hospital, or day centers. And the training was 2 on-site training days in one of each the 3 countries, Greece, Ireland, and Latvia, followed by 3 days online teaching and supervisions. Shortly after the trainings, we had a row of supervisions in small groups. And now we have the online day conference with presentations based on the experience of the participants and maybe some case studies material. And that was the dates of our training. We started in Greece, January, and then later February online, and then we moved on to Ireland, was a second country, and then Latvia was a third country, and now we come to the closure actually, because that's officially the last activity before we get ready to submit our reports. And this was the training from Greece, and you see we had 43 participants, and we had support also. It was co-funded by Stelios Foundation Hall in Plaka in Athens, in the center of Athens. We had 43 participants, and it was a great course for those who were there, and maybe you can still remember a few things from what we experienced together. And then we moved on to Ireland in Dublin, outside Dublin actually. It was Maynooth University. Beautiful days. We could have some of our experientials in the university garden, as you see. Great group, as always. 22 participants here, and then we moved to Latvia, Riga, and the Cultural School of Riga. That was May and June, followed by online course in June 2025. So it was a great experience, and you see here that the overwhelming interest in the program led us to increase participant capacity up to 5-fold sometimes, even for the Greek, especially for the Greek group, to accommodate the high demand in all 3 locations. And we received outstanding evaluations with participants praising both the quality of teaching and experiential learning. And Rebecca will give you some statistical, information of what we have gathered so far, because it's still ongoing, so it's not the final result, the final outcome, but we do have some evaluation stats. So that brings us to the need of development of new projects, training opportunities, innovative tools using music in various clinical, community, and educational settings. In fact, we do have some ideas. How can we develop this further? We invite new ideas and collaborations from any participants who are hearing now, attending this presentation. So please come to us if you have an organization, either non-profit organization or a university in a country that you think there is a potential of collaboration, because we are now having new think tanks on how we can use European funding for more programs, trainings, as well as development of tools and instruments through music. And you can discover more on the websites of the program, mireproject.eu. Sonora, as the coordinator, also has some information about the project in our website, or you can email us in the MIRE project gmail.com, or use our Facebook page, Music in Therapy, MIRE Erasmus+ project. So that's for me.
Yep, I can take over if that's okay then.
Thank you.
I'll just share my screen there.
And I must say, for any Greek people who are here, that maybe some of you know that we are now starting a new project funded by ActionAid in Greek, of course, which is about training people, professionals who work in women's empowerment. So more information will be available soon, but let's stay with Mire. Thank you, Rebecca. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Can everyone see that there?
Yes.
Perfect. So as Evie was talking about, we have some data that we collected so far in the project, and from that some preliminary results as well. Because a lot of the nature of these Erasmus projects is to also have some research dimension to improve upon, the interventions or in the trainings that we provide, and also to provide the ground for future incentives such as these. So I'll just go right into it. So throughout the project, we collected 3 forms of data for the most part. So after the in-person training, so the first part of the trainings, we distributed an online survey to each of the 3 groups in Greece, Ireland, and Latvia. We also, after the second part of the online training and some time after participants had a chance to implement some of the MIRE learnings, we also held 3 focus groups online as well. And finally, we have some data that we gathered from the case study reports so far, although, as Evie mentioned, this is not complete yet. But I'll just start talking about that. So for now, we only have 18 completed reports that we have in. So we only will be looking at 18 people and their data so far, but we're expecting that to go up to around 73 once everyone has had a chance to submit their own as well. So what we have seen from this data so far is that all participants operate in some type of private practice. 22.4% also work in some type of outpatient setting, such as a day center. 5.6% also work in an inpatient setting, such as a hospital or acute unit. We also have a small number of 11.1% working in some type of educational institution, such as a school or a special school. And we also see that on average, participants are working with 9.6 clients where they're using the MIRE principles. And from these clients, they have an average of 27.6 sessions with each of them. And based off of these numbers alone, we can estimate that approximately by the end of the project, when everyone has had a chance to complete all their work with MIRE, that this will reach approximately 700 clients, which is a huge number from what we initially anticipated. And this is also bearing in mind that this is just a direct impact. So with people that would be practicing the MIRE principles and MI for years afterwards, this number would naturally increase with the more people and clients that they would work with. So it's really quite nice to see that. And moving on to the participant surveys that we handed out after the first part of the training, across the 3 surveys that we provided, we had 70 responses overall. And 91.4% of the participants said that they felt very satisfied with the training so far. 65.7% felt significantly more confident in their ability to support vulnerable clients, and 28.6% said that they felt a little bit more confident. So overall, most participants felt that the training did give them a little bit more confidence, or a lot more confidence in working with vulnerable clients, especially those experiencing trauma. And finally, 98.5% did say that they would recommend the training to a colleague. But outside of these statistics and the multiple choice questions, We also had some options for written feedback. So we were curious to see what worked, what didn't work, and to see what people wanted to see more of. So these are some of the more common things that were mentioned. So training logistics was sometimes an issue for some people due to location or times. So we did get that feedback and we did consider that. We also heard a lot of people say that they wanted more practical demonstrations with music pieces. So this included guidance on music selection, seeing more case studies, seeing more examples of how that would look like with different client types, just more examples on how you could practically implement that. Some people wanted more information on the scientific and neurological basis of MI, maybe some more information on transference and countertransference. So in general, we saw that people were just eager to learn more and to see more. And to just kind of wrap up the data that we've gathered, I wanted to talk about the focus groups. And I want to thank everyone here who's been in the focus groups because it was really helpful. And I think we got a lot of very interesting insights from people because everyone was just so good at expressing themselves and expressing just how this experience actually was. And we got a very vivid picture, I think, particularly from the focus groups. So I'll just show you some quotes about some benefits that some people observed when applying MI and MIRE principles. So one person said, "It's just an amazing tool to be able to give to people for anti-stress, anti-anxiety, using your own imagination to heal yourself in some way. Being able to convey to people that you can use music and your own imagination to soothe yourself and even heal yourself." So this is just one example of something that we heard quite commonly, that it was a tool that gave a lot of participants a lot more avenues to explore different things with their clients, a lot more kind of leg room to work with in many ways. And this is something that we heard quite a few times, but I think it was very well put here. And it was great to see that it gave people a little bit more tools, because that was ultimately our goal, is to give mental health workers and allied professions that tool to expand their practice. Someone else said, "I've already used music imagery with a case of grief and it went very well. The person brought concerns of future grief, and I think that music helped to go deeper in the subconscious in an expanded way." So again, this is just a more specific example of how someone used these principles in their practice. And this person worked with grief, but we also heard people working with children or children with ADHD or autism. We also heard people working with people that were struggling with relationships or grief. So there was so many different ways that people applied it. And with the presentations, I think we'll hear a lot more about that. But that was an interesting thing to see as well. And another person said, "Working with children and teenagers most of the time, I'm more active as a therapist. And this is a very good method without me actively doing things, because they're drawing, they're talking, they're listening to music, and I'm only observing and leading this part. So it's actually, for me as a therapist, it's very relaxing." So again, I think this was an interesting one because this is just one example of someone talking about how it didn't only benefit their clients, but also themselves. So there was kind of this dual relationship of how these methods can benefit not just the client, but even the person applying it. Someone else said that it helped them improve their own relationship with music and how they saw music. So I think that it was just interesting to see how deeply personal it could have been to the therapists themselves, and kind of giving them a different avenue to experience their work. And I thought that was very nice as well. And then going on to challenges. So things that people were kind of struggling with when dealing with a method. Naturally, it is a new method for most of the people who were participating. So it was something that I thought was interesting to explore as well. So someone said that one of the challenges they experienced was how to deal with clients that are not responding very well. The choice of music pieces that I'm trying sometimes are not successful. Sometimes it can create an opposite result from the one I'm wishing for, and I can get disappointed and anxious about how to fix what has happened. So this is something we heard a few times, that it wasn't always the best for some people, or that sometimes they weren't sure how to respond to someone who wasn't responding very well. And I think this is an interesting dimension to bring forward because it did seem to be quite a common challenge. This could be for many reasons, maybe the novelty of the method, or maybe because of the nuance of the method and having to have a closer relationship and rapport with the client. But I thought it was an interesting dimension as well. Someone else said, with the amount of time I have for therapy and the amount of people on my caseload, sometimes I've been overambitious and I'm going to do some trauma processing work and then to do some music regulation afterwards. And that's just, I've learned that I've completely misjudged it. So I chose this one as well because this person is talking about the practical application. So if I remember correctly, they worked in the public mental health service, which in their context is very overloaded with cases and people that are trying to access it, but not enough therapists working there. So I thought it was interesting to put that as well, because I think that even though in an ideal world we would like to see more professional development and having mental health workers expand their practice, sometimes there are these practical barriers that are completely outside of our control. So I thought that was an interesting dimension as well, and definitely something to consider moving forward. And then finally, the last quote, some people are skeptical at first. So oftentimes with this technique, you have to overcome the initial resistance from the clients because they're used to more active music therapy. They sometimes might not feel the results. So again, this goes back to having challenges with some people not responding as well as others, and kind of how to identify that, how to identify who might respond better, who might not, whether it's just an initial barrier or just something about the person themselves. And I thought these just brought very interesting questions as well, and definitely something that I think our participants explored quite in depth in their case studies, and just within their own reflexivity work. But that is the data that we have so far. So the next steps, we will be collecting and finalizing the case study reports, and then finalizing our data sets. We'll be completing the Erasmus+ report. We'll be conducting a mixed method analysis of the completed data that's a little bit more in depth. And we hope to disseminate all the results via our social media channels, the project website, and hopefully academic journals as well. So yeah, thanks everyone. That's me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was interesting even for me because it was the first time that, I see everything
Yeah.
on screen, with numbers and. Well done, Rebecca. Thank you so much for this contribution. Okay, so we are good to go for our first presentation, and this is Yanis Rothsteins. Is it correct?
Janis Rothsteins. It's correct. Thank you, Eri.
From Latvia?
Yeah.
Good.
Just a moment. Good morning, dear conference organizers and dear colleagues. I'm very glad to be here today and present and share my case about this method which I use in my my job. And that presentation name was The Case of Individual Music Imagery, MIRE Methods in Personality Development. I'm Jan Rothsteins, and I'm a music therapist and supervisor. At the place where I work, it's the Hospital of Bauska, and it's my cabinet. And the patient was outpatient department patient, married woman with 5 years old, 2 children and husbands. According to education and work profile, a podiatrist medical professional describes oneself as a tidy, caring, meticulous, pedantic, cheerful, and hurried person. Reasons for starting therapy. Music therapy is attended voluntary on one's own initiative and other to understand what is currently happening with oneself. Feel the change in thinking and personal maturity. There is a desire to better understand oneself and to accept oneself. Understand anxiety, crisis, and maybe trauma. Music therapy cycle. It was 10 individual sessions creating contacts and contract agreements on the regularity to attendance and payment for the cycle of 10 sessions, agreements on confidentiality, supervisions, boundaries, restrictions, change, responsibilities, risks, and cooperations. Familiarization with the possibilities of using active and receptive music therapy methods where the patient chooses receptive music therapy, Imagery MIRE. Aims of music therapy: self-awareness, emotion regulation, midlife crisis, and trauma. Session structures. First to second sessions building therapeutical relationships. Third to ninth session therapeutical process, and 10th sessions closing farewell session. Imagery MIRE methods on music therapy sessions. Searching for research throughout musical experience, feelings, expectations, musical listening, analysis for work with trauma, crisis, personality development, emotional regulation. Creating a personal music playlist throughout life experience events. During points of therapy 6 to 8, the patient chose music that made her feel unpleasant feelings and a desire for it to stop playing as soon as possible. This music reminds the patient of childhood memories of the father's strict upbringing. The first music I would like to present, that music would with What She Come, and it was a Chopin Valse in A minor. I would like to, I hope that everything will be okay and you can listen a little bit about this music to understand more how she feel and what sounds that music.
Nedzirdam, Jāni.
Nav skaņas.
Bija sākumā un pēc tam pazuda.
Tā. Ko lai es tagad daru?
Mēģini šērot un ieslēgt visus skaļruņus.
Tā pagaidi.
Evie, you are mute.
You also need to share your sound, not only your screen. You share your screen and then on the right, you will see, you have to tick share sound as well.
Okay. I'd like to share. Vajadzētu tagad varēt.
Let's see.
Jā.
No.
Viņš iesākās un pazūd.
Un nedzird tālāk, ja?
Nē.
Nu labi, tad ejam tālāk, nekavēsim laiku. Tad lieku prezentāciju tālāk. And the next point was at the sixth session where she finds the music which changed his things about that, what's happened before in child age and what's happening in now. And it was this music, Love is Blue. I hope it will be a little bit the song.
Neiet.
Es ceru, ka varēja dzirdēt. I hope that everything.
Nē, nevarēja, Jāni.
Arī nevarēja. Labi. Okay. And the next music which change and she understand how to live in future. This music was Cecilia, and I will little bit to present. Maybe you can see and
Varbūt kāds cits. Evi, maybe someone else could present this music
Yeah, I
by
was gonna
Spotify.
say if you could maybe play it, Evie, if he sent the link. I don't know. I think that would work.
You see link. Ah,
okay, don't worry. I will send this music on the chat, okay? And I have not so much time, and I would like to share my results of these sessions, and the patient can greater clarity in her emotions. She became aware of the cause of her anxiety, restlessness, fears and insecurity. She also continued to think about herself and her future. This changed her beliefs that she is a strong and powerful personality. Throughout the musical repertories, she was determined to improve, allowing herself to listen to herself and the music she chose to enjoy. She felt that she began to breathe deeper, feel her body more, and become aware that she would continue to take care of herself and her body. Patient's revelations after music therapy. I had never imagined that music therapy and this method would be able to penetrate too deeply within me and change my inner world. I would like to say a big thank you for Evi and Mirza and Organizers for this course, and thank you everyone for your attention, and have a nice day today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yanis, for your contribution. That's an interesting case study, and I would love to hear more afterwards. We can allow maybe 1 minute if somebody wants to ask something. Yanis? You can either put it on the chat or just raise your hand and, any questions for Yanis or comments? No. Okay. So thank you. And let's go to, is it Elena?
Yeah.
Yes. Elena Ratkovic, she was in our Greek group. Well, she will present herself. Can you share your screen, Elena? Is it okay?
Yes. I just wanted to inform that during the presentation, I will close the camera because it appears that when I open the presentation, it's like I'm cutting the sound. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you see it? Because I
Of
don't.
course. Mm-hmm.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hello again. My name is Jelena Ratkovic. I'm a clinical neuropsychologist. I was participating in the MIRE program here in Athens, Greece. So I would like to share my experience. I applied the approach in a group of people with intellectual disabilities. So initially, I would like to say a few words about my target group because I consider it really important. When speaking about people with intellectual disability, it's not that they lack emotions. Their experiences are real and valid, but the mix of biological, cognitive, and social challenges make recognition, expression, and regulation more difficult. So intellectual disability often involves differences in brain development and function, so particularly in regions critical for emotion regulation and recognition, such as prefrontal cortex and amygdala, which can reduce sensitivity to emotional cues. Yeah, lower cognitive capacity may make it more difficult to interpret complex or subtle emotions, especially negative ones like fear or anger. Additionally, the communication barriers, including limited verbal and non-verbal skills, can further hinder the expression or reporting of emotions, leading to different kind of misunderstandings about their internal emotional states. With fewer opportunities for social learning, for modeling, and any feedback can limit the development of emotional skills and coping strategies in general. Also, some co-occurring conditions such as autism, anxiety, or mood disorders can further affect emotional regulation and expression, making support in this area particularly important. People with intellectual disability experience emotions in the ways that are broadly similar to those without any disability, with some important differences in this field, in recognition, regulation, and expression. For example, when exposed to standardized emotional images, individuals with moderate intellectual disability, they show patterns of basic affect, like happy versus sad, calm versus nervous, like those in the general population. Although physiological responses like heart rate and arousal tend to be lower. Yet, it is difficult to assess emotional expression and internal state like anxiety, pain, or happiness because of impaired communication and cognition, making the standard self-report methods less reliable. Also, there is evidence that deficits in emotion recognition, especially of negative emotions such as anger or fear, are associated with poorer social functioning and traits such as alexithymia, which is difficulty in identifying or describing emotions, which are linked with increasing challenging behavior. So overall, supporting this emotional awareness, recognition, and regulation are key targets for improving the well-being in people with intellectual disability. So why music therapy? It can be a powerful tool for supporting emotional and social development. People with intellectual disabilities can practice empathy and strengthen their emotional skills, as music provides a safe way to express and recognize feelings. It encourages them to engage socially, fostering cooperation and connection with peers. Also, the music activities support communication by offering both verbal and non-verbal ways to interact, while the rhythmic patterns and structured songs enhance attention and initiation of tasks. And in the end, it is the enjoyable and motivating nature of music that increases active participation and engagement, making the therapy both effective and meaningful. So why? Why MIRE? What is MIRE? MIRE is a music and care approach that combines music listening with positive imagery and to strengthen mental resilience and support emotional regulation. It shows a strong theoretical fit for this target group, for people with intellectual disabilities, when working in group therapy, specifically the nonverbal access to feeling, the regulation, and the social engagement. So, how did we organize our group sessions? Well, the sessions were designed for a group of 11 senior participants with intellectual disability, a mild level. They were conducted 2 to 3 times per week and lasting 15 to 20 minutes each. They involved guided imaginative listening, while participants focused on positive imagery objects, incorporating a mix of genres. The music experience was combined with creative expression activities such as drawing, painting, and using emotional cards, which allowed participants to explore and reflect on their feelings in a supportive and engaging way. Now, the structure of the session itself, each session usually began with a pre-session discussion during which participants reflect on their current emotional and physical state. At this phase, we usually used the emotional cards to identify the feeling. Then this was followed by music listening, where they engaged in a calm, relaxed experience with carefully selected music. While listening, participants were guided to focus on positive and meaningful imagery, enhancing emotional engagement. The session then incorporated creative expression, allowing participants to draw, to paint, or visually represent their imagery and feelings. And finally, in a verbal reflection phase, the group members shared and discussed their experiences, emotions, and insights, fostering self-awareness and social connection and emotional processing. Also, in the end, we would come back to those initial emotional cards. They wanted to describe their feelings. Now, about the effectiveness of this method in our group. Well, the use of the MIRE music approach in a group therapy for persons with intellectual disability, it appears that it offers several benefits. One of the strongest advantages is that music and guided imagery provide nonverbal access to emotional experiences, which is particularly important when language skills are limited. Yeah. Participants can explore and regulate feelings in a safe way, supporting emotional expression and calming. Group listening and imagery further create opportunities for shared experience, helping to foster turn-taking, joint attention, and social interaction. The structure and the predictability of music through tempo, melody, and rhythm also provide a cognitive scaffold that supports attention and memory while making learning more accessible. In addition, the imagery prompted by music encourages creativity and self-expression in the level that it is possible for the participants to communicate through gestures and drawings and movement or simple words when verbal language is not sufficient. On the other hand, despite these advantages, there are also notable challenges in applying a MIRE with this population. Guided imagery often relies on abstract visualization, which can be difficult for those with moderate to severe intellectual disability without some significant adaptation. Certain types of music or imagery also can be overstimulating, potentially leading to distress or not carefully chosen and monitored, especially in cases where we have epileptic crisis. The heterogeneity of this population further complicates delivery, as variations in communication, cognition, and sensory preferences make standardization of the whole process pretty challenging. Also, measuring the outcomes can be really difficult since many standard assessment tools are not valid for all participants. And last but not least is the need for facilitators who are specially trained in both music and imagery techniques and in adapting them to the diverse needs of individual and intellectual disability. To address all the challenges that we mentioned previously, I have focused to some practical adaptations that I consider that are essential, but yet I'm speaking about my own experience. I thought what could be done, what could be adapted. So starting from imagery prompts that could be simplified and made more concrete with often use of sensory-based ideas such as imagining a warm light while encouraging nonverbal responses through drawing or painting or movement. Also, sessions are best kept short with a predictable structure that repeats over time to enhance the feeling of safety and familiarity. Then visual support such as cue cards or pictures, as I previously said, can be used to increase clarity, and co-facilitators or caregivers, which is a familiar face for them, may help reinforce understanding and manage the behavior part. Music selection, which really crucial thing, should be chosen carefully, maybe favoring familiar or culturally relevant and calming pieces with individual testing to ensure comfort before using them in a group setting. If there are some persons that may have reaction. So in this case, the sessions should always include grounding strategies such as breathing, movement, and touchstone object to help participants return to the present and avoid the overstimulation. Finally, even within a group context, the goals, in my opinion, should be individualized, focusing on simple and measurable outcomes such as increasing eye contact or improving turn taking or reducing agitation in order to track meaningful programs during the time. At the bottom line, based on our experience and only, MIRE style music and imagery gives pretty encouraging theoretical and clinical promise for group therapy when speaking about people with intellectual disabilities, particularly when it comes to emotional access and regulation and social engagement. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. That was interesting. And I think it gives a different perspective because not so many people work with music and imagery in a special education and disability setting. So it's a very, very good input for all of us. And I open the ground. Do you have any questions for Elena?
I'm just wondering, what size was the group? How many participants?
11 at this point.
Quite big group.
A big group, yes.
With
yes.
support, with carers?
At this point, no. This is why I was saying that the need of facilitator is needed, and I had the opportunity, and yet when facilitator is not trained or informed in this approach, it's difficult to work with him because he's having his own logic and he has different ideas, creative ideas yet, but this is not like simple music therapy. There is simple approach, specific approach and specific steps that we are trying to follow. So I would recommend that the second person is also either trained, either well-informed on the process.
Correct. Very good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions, so we can move on to Camila. Is that you? You're muted.
That's me. I'm sorry, I'm under my husband's account for some reason, but we have the same surname though.
We can still recognize you.
That's good, thank you. Perfect.
So you can share your screen if you like.
I will share my screen, and I stop the camera as well with the same reason as Jelena mentioned before. And let me share. I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see that.
Perfect. So my name is Kamila. First of all, thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for this opportunity. I am a music therapist. I'm based in Ireland, and I was taking part in the training based in Dublin and with the Irish group. So I'm going to give you a little bit overview on my case study of an adult female client and self-discovery and identity exploration. So first of all, overview of the client and therapeutic goals. So I was working with 20 years old Italian woman, a mother to 3 years old, a daughter who at the time of our session was undergoing fertility treatment, which resulted in a viable pregnancy. She holds PhD in American and English literature, but has been unable to find a job in her field. Client enjoys drawing and writing a lot. Our main therapeutic goals were facilitating self-exploration, increase emotional awareness, and to explore conflicting feelings about motherhood, gender role, and ambition. Through our further session, other topics emerged like spirituality, mortality, and also persistent feeling of being stuck in life. Our session took place once a week, and the music was chosen collaboratively. I played a short excerpt of 2 to 3 pieces, which were tailored to the session's established focus, and I asked the client to choose the one that resonated most with her. After each session, the music selection was shared with the client for the purpose of personal playlist creation, and also to allow client to relive the experience and provide emotional regulation outside of therapy. Our first session was called, oh, I'm sorry, that's not this one. Our first session was called The Other Side of Thursday Afternoon. So each drawing had a title, which became a regular part of our session. And during our first session, the client appeared anxious, scattered, and very apologetic. We discussed her relationship with music, and she expressed a deep admiration for Philip Glass, whose music had helped her during difficult time in her past. During this first session, client voiced a need for escapism, expressing no particular music preferences and allowing me to make her suggestions. She was looking for a piece of music that could provide a distraction from the present and leading her to a calm and imaginative place. And for that session, we chose the Movement 5 Ban by Vangelis. I don't know if you pronounce it right, Vangelis, from album El Greco. And this piece resonated with client immediately. It was chosen because it has calming and meditative qualities and also can stimulate imagination. As you can see, the drawing features scenes from nature, a river, forest, and green fields in pastel colors. But there is also very distant black area that the client described as unreachable. She was very, very apologetic about her drawing, implying that it looks like a child drawing. However, I emphasized that the purpose of this activity was to integrate the experience and not to assess her artistic skills. And that's when I suggested to title her drawing, which became a continued practice during our later sessions. After listening to the music, client expressed that she felt peaceful and cheerful, and it was exactly what she needed, though she hadn't realized it at that time. And what was the outcome of this session? Client reported shift from anxiety to sense of peace and cheerfulness. And in this case, music facilitated emotional processing and also stimulated imagination. Despite the initial self-criticism towards her artistic skill and her drawing, she was able to complete the drawing, which was a sign of active engagement in the process and beginning of trust building. Our second session was called Composing Daydreams. And during this session, client reported feeling stuck between being a mother and an aspiring artist, and she considered this as a contradictory aspect. While she adores being a mother, she also finds it demanding and limiting. And she shared her opinion that men are more privileged and have greater capacity for success. And she also shared that she feels bitter towards her male friends who are successful writers, but yet men in general are a source of inspiration for her. Now, the focus of the session was reflection as regards those conflicting feelings, the tension between the motherhood and gender roles. And the selection of the piece was the well-known piece that we listened before, The Lake by Ketil Bjornstad and David Darling. This piece is very contemplative, feels like gentle dialogue between piano and cello, and it can facilitate processing of conflicting feelings and has some grounding qualities. During this session, I suggested a collage and provided different materials, newspapers, oil pastels, watercolors, and pieces of colorful threads. And client created a collage using newspaper cuttings and an oil pastel, and it featured image of herself and her mother playing the piano. Client reported that this image was very sweet and comforting and evoked very positive memories from her childhood. And she also reported the desire to play piano with her daughter. Now, during the outcome of the session was by creating collage, we allow client to reconnect with her creative side and provide her broader area of expression. The desire to play piano with her daughter emphasized the nurturing aspect of her as a mother and allowed the client to perceive motherhood as a very creative and meaningful role. In creating image of herself and her mother playing piano, a client was able to access comforting and positive childhood memory, which helped her to balance the conflicting emotions. Our session number 3 was called Elegance. This session made client reflect on her relationship with her grandfather, who she believes would understand her struggle as an aspiring artist and also her career struggle in general, because he was a professor at the university. And the piece we chose for that session was the Piano Concerto number 5. And the client reported that this piece reminded her of the music that her grandfather used to listen to. And the music, this session facilitated the reflection on her grandfather. And also client shared that she would like to share this piece of music with her daughter. She was not able to immerse herself fully in that piece. She called it as a background music, but however, she was able to connect to the beauty to this piece and able to connect with that, and the desire to listen to this piece with her daughter indicated that. During our next session, which was called Slowness, this is recurrent come from session 2, the conflicting healing about motherhood and gender roles. The client shared concerns also about financial pressure and how being a mother has limiting her career options. So during this session, we try to explore emotional awareness and process emotions. And for this session, the piece of music was Poor Jordan by Olafus Arnalds, and slow-paced minimalistic piece for piano and strings that encourages introspection and can gently hold you in the present moment. The drawing feature a client drawing together on the carpet at home. As you can see, there is the yellow color is very prominent, and the client reported that she was able to that this session allowed her to truly connect with her emotions. This piece moved her to tears, and she reported that she had not cried in a long time. And the experience evoked nostalgia for her childhood when time was passing slowly and she was immersed in reading and free of worries. And the yellow color, she remembered, was her favorite color as a child. She also clarified that the tears were not due to the sadness, but a rather nostalgic recognition of meaningful memory that she has forgotten about. During this session, the client was able to reconnect with meaningful memories, access repressed emotions, and again, there's a sign of strengthening of our therapeutic process. The client felt safe to be vulnerable during our sessions. Session number 5, my favorite session, and I feel this session felt very magical and deeply meaningful. It's called Contain, but in an open space. The focus of the session was that client expressed the desire for a piece of music that was sweet and containing. And upon further discussion, we decided to embrace and empower femininity. Since the client associates piano with femininity, we chose a piano piece, and the piece was Lavender Fields by Stephen Mocho and Peter Gregson. Very gentle and flowing piano paired with string instruments, which gives the sense of being held, but also has very uplifting and optimistic qualities of the atmosphere, the feelings that it evokes. What was the drawing about? The drawing featured a safe place, a small wooden house on a hill surrounded by trees, but there is also an image of a cello being played, featuring the red and the purple colors, and that was actually the colors of the sweater that client wore at the time of our session. Then the client described being a cello, and its shape and movements reminded her of a woman carrying a baby. Client reported the experience as grounding and uplifting and made her feel empowered. And the sound of cello felt sweet and feminine, and overall the piece felt very harmonious and flowing. The outcome of the session was that the client finally started to redefine femininity and nurturing aspects of femininity as a strength rather than weakness. The session supported self-acceptance and resilience, and client began to integrate her role as a mother and as an artist, writer, seeing both as equally important parts of who she is, her identity. And our last session, called Peter Pan, during this session, client expressed the need of peace of music that would have watery qualities. Client has a fear of water, but during this session, she felt that she would like to explore those emotions and was looking for a piece of music with watery qualities. And we also focus was to embrace and understand happiness. And the piece of music that we chose was Fields of Coral, again by Vangelis, kind of ambient, slow tempo, giving the impression of drifting or being under the water. And client drawing did not brought any images of water, however, featured a big fire surrounded by people dancing. She reported that this image brought feeling of comfort, safety, belonging, and she was free from any materialistic and financial struggles. And around the fire, there were also floating spirits, and this image made her reflect on spirituality and mortality. During this session, the music facilitated exploration of very important themes, like sense of belonging, spirituality, mortality, leading to acceptance and comfort. Active engagement in music selection and ability to clearly voice client needs indicated the growing empowerment in decision-making. And listening, and actually client also reported that she listened to the piece from a previous session for a management of anxiety, which was successful and also indicated conscious use of music for support and emotional regulation. Now, conclusions. So throughout our 6-session, client demonstrated conscious engagement with the therapeutic process and used art media to reconnect with her creative side. Main themes explored during our session: identity, motherhood, gender roles, ambitions, family dynamics, belonging, spirituality, and acceptance. Music served as a catalyst for emotional processing and creative expression, allowing client to access and integrate repressed emotions. Client also demonstrated growing resilience by confronting painful memories, integrating conflicting parts of herself, and embracing vulnerability. Reduced self-criticism led to increased confidence and self-acceptance. Collaborative music selection empowered client in decision-making and also prompted her to recognize and refine her preferences. Client gradually learned to use music more proactively to manage anxiety and to support mood regulation between sessions. Now, there was limited reflection, not limited reflection, there was not much reflection as regards the previous session, which probably contributed to lack of continuity in therapeutic process, but overall the process supported clients' growth in resilience and emotional regulation. Recommendation. Our pre-conversations took a long time, so I think we should shorten the length of the pre-focus conversations. Introductions of session without a focus to encourage free exploration, and introduction of music, drawing, and narrative. Or, for instance, just amended adaptation of this method, like adding in a narrative to the session. Gradual exploration of family dynamics and client fear of water in a supportive and safe environment, and inviting client to keep a journal where she can record her thoughts, emotions, and reflection on each session to maintain continuity in the therapeutic process. And that's all from me, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Camilla. That's very interesting material, very feminine material and discovery material. And do we have any questions for Camilla or comments?
It's not a question, but it's more like it was nice to actually to be on the journey, like with Camilla and her clients, and to actually see the drawings. It's funny, I was listening to what Camilla was saying, but I was really the drawings were grabbing my attention, and it kind of, and the idea of giving it a title, which I guess, is another way. I guess it's another type of imagery that if it works for the client, to kind of add that, like a caption or a title, something that encapsulates the drawing. I just find that interesting, something to consider. But yeah, really that sense of journeying through and to see how evocative it can be. And to rely, for me personally, to rely more on the imagery part in an artistic way, which is still something in progress for me. To see it that way was kind of interesting. So thank you. And thank you to all the presenters so far. That's very generous of them.
Indeed.
Another question. Hello, thank you for this beautiful presentation. How long did the meeting last?
The session, is it?
The session, yes.
Actually, we sometimes run over an hour, so maybe an hour and 5-10 minutes, and then as I said, I try to reduce the pre-conversation leading to focus. But the drawings took maybe about 5-7 minutes. Sometimes client asked to listen to the music again, but that only happened on one of the sessions. But the sessions were around an hour, around 60 minutes.
Oh, thank you very much. This was very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. It seems that we are amazingly on time. So at this point, let's have a break and be back at past. Good. See you soon. Thank you. Good morning, Ariadna.
Morning.
We are all yours.
Amazing.
Ready for your presentation.
So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon for those who are in Latvia and I guess in Greece also.
Yes.
So, yes, my name is Let me see why it's not working. Yeah. So my name is Ariadna Joyce Sokolowska. I have two names. And I am a certified music therapist. And today I'm here to share a story about the profound power of music to help a young person find her inner strength and overcome the significant emotional challenges. And we'll be exploring the case study using a method called supportive music imagery. And for me, it was a powerful tool and is still with the work with teenagers, actually. And as myself, if I want to introduce myself, I work with, I focus like working on supporting individuals through the various challenges. And I have a privilege of working in special education with children for at-risk families and with the pediatric oncology patients and their parents. But yes. So the core of this case study lies in the theoretical principles of the supportive music imaginary, which I found analyzing the scientific literature, which we got from the trainings of MIRE. And I found out so kind of a key ideas. First of all, that it lies on non-intrusive immersion in music, and so client listen to the music without continuous verbal guidance. Music evokes imaginary and emotions and creative integration through drawing, and finally the empowerment through the autonomy. And these tools helped me enable a powerful transformation for my client and a journey from the fear to hope. And ultimately, she gained an increased confidence, autonomy, and also concrete coping tools. And so the client in this study, whom we will call Bella, of course, the name was changed due to confidential information. This is a girl from Riga. She's 13-year-old, and she loves actually drawing, music, and she loves horses. But her parents think that the horse riding is very expensive, so she cannot do it. And but she was struggling to cope with a difficult home environment, and her parents' alcohol use often led to unpleasant situation, and she is feeling a lack of attention and support. And due to these challenges, Bella is also attending a day support center recommended by her aunt, where she was also referred to a music therapy to me. But the Bella's way to coping was to retreat into her own world by listening to music and by drawing. But the drawings she made often had a dark themes, featuring things like poisonous mushrooms and skeletons, and which actually reflected her inner sadness. Given Bella's situation, our primary therapeutic goal was, our means my and also the center, why they referred it to me to the music therapy. And for me was to use the supportive music imaginary method to help her build self-esteem and find her inner resources. And I wanted to help to empower her with a sense of autonomy and support her emotional expression through the music and also drawing. And ultimately, the additional aim, which came up during the therapy, actually was also to develop the resilience so she could face unpredictable changes in her life. And yes, we had 5 sessions. And I actually, to make it a little bit more interesting, I thought that I should give for each session a name. So you will see the name and the goal in each slide. And the first session I named like Finding a Warmth and Building Alliance. And the first session was all about building a safe and supportive environment and consistent with the MIRE principles. Bella was invited to choose a musical piece that she had a personal positive meaning to her, and she picked up the song that reminded her of a warm and positive experience she had recently, a moment of going with the day center children to the cinema to watch animation movie Flow, although it was a rainy day. But she remembered a piece of music that was in the very beginning of the movie, so she So she asked me to play it. And for my surprise and for the exploration for me, the name of the musical piece was actually Home. And I would love to share to you a little moment from this video, maybe so you could understand a little bit better her and everything we had there. See? I hope you can hear it. Yes, nice, gentle, beautiful music. And after listening to this music, she described the feeling. It awoke a very warm and created a drawing to represent actually those feelings. And this drawing became actually a tangible resource so she could return to it whatever she needs it, like a sense of comfort. And this initial collaborative step was actually very crucial to establish our therapeutic alliance, also knowing that always she was drawing a very dark themes before, and that was something very warm and very nice. If you can see, here is the drawing. The second session, I name on navigating anxiety with the hope. And in our second session, Bella revealed her apprehension about a major upcoming event. So she came up with anxiety. So she had to change the school campuses. I invited her to draw her a feeling about the school without the music, and the drawing she created was dominated by anxiety. She expressed a worry about the new building, new teachers, new classmates, recognizing her need of a shift in the perspective. I introduced a new musical piece to her, and it was a music piece called Forrest Gump by Alan Silvestri. And during the music, she created a new image drawing, and actually it showed a remarkable transformation, and positive image began to emerge, and she used the use word hope to describe her new outlook. And this moment was also tangible evidence of her inner shift from the kind of fear to hope. And if you can see here, I made a circle, whereas in Latvian say satraukums, which means anxiety. And another one means hope. So she wrote down that I hope that everything is going to be all right. So, and the next session, I call it anchoring the new resources. Following the previous session, for myself, it was like a breakthrough. The third session was designed to anchor the newfound of sense of hope. So I choose an uplifting musical piece, A Close Friend by James Newton Howard, to provide a sense of forward moments. And as she listened, and Bella was invited to visualize herself confidently navigating the new school environment. And as you see, actually her drawing reflected this positive kind of image, showing her with the new classmates surrounded by bright colors, also the teachers with the hearts, as you can see, and optimistic outlook, actually. And she was no longer just hoping for a positive outcome, but she was actively visualizing and creating it. And actually, yes. And the fourth session, called Acknowledging and Integrating the Growth. And by the fourth session, we took the moment to reflect her journey, and we reviewed all three of her drawings side by side, and so she could clearly see the emotional shift from anxiety to the hope. And then we listened a reflective piece of music to help her integrate her new sense of self-worth. And in the end of the session, she drew a simple but profound image, a single strong line moving forward. for when I analyzing is like and how she actually explained it, it symbolized her readiness to face the unknown and confirmed that she had acquired the inner resource to handle the life changes. That everything is all right, everything is fine, and I'm ready. And which brought us to the next session afterwards, and which was like a highlight of the whole process. It's session number 5, and discovering autonomy. In our final session, we celebrated the progress, and we listened at first the very first piece of music, and then after. Bella by herself actually came up with the idea that she wants to write her own song, the theme song, and for about the courage and the new beginnings. And this was a kind of like a powerful act of autonomy, and the song lyrics were full of strength, resilience, symbolizing her journey from insecurity to confidence. And this wasn't just a simple exercise, it was concrete evidence that she had acquired a personal tool to independently cope with the life difficulties. And of course, the song was in Latvian, but I tried to translate it. And as you can see, the lyrics are very powerful. And it was a very good session also for me, and maybe for my confidence also. And so the outcomes of this therapy were significant, and so Bella successfully overcome her immediate anxiety and gained the lasting personal tools. And I saw a notable increase of her self-confidence and autonomy. The drawings become tangible evidence of her internal change, and ultimately she acquired independent coping tools that she can use in the future. And this is kind of my concluded thought about all this process, and about also MIRE as a powerful tool, that this isn't just a story about solving a problem. It's a powerful testament that the supportive music imaginary method ability to create profound and lasting change. And Bella's journey shows us that even a brief intervention, it was only 5 sessions, can equip adolescent with the resources and to independently cope with the life challenges. And ultimately, this case study is about discovering inner strength. That's what the MIRE supportive does. So yeah, here are the music pieces I used in this case study, and not just me, but we together. And thank you. That was it.
Very nice. Very delicate, and sounds like easygoing, although I know it's not, but very interesting. Thank you, Ariadna. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe there are some questions.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I can answer them. You know, it wasn't easy anyway, as you know, before from the supervisions also, because the method is new. So, but I think it was a very good, it was a very good experience. And also for me, it was strengthening also me, like it was a very successful experience. And that's why I feel so positive, maybe.
Good to hear. Thank you. Do we have any questions for Ariadna?
Yeah, just I found help commenting on the reaction of the clients who at some point takes ownership and wants to write her own song, which really in terms of autonomy and, you know, sense of agency is really speaks for itself. So that was amazing to hear. A quick question, and not a difficult one. The music in your presentation, Ariadna, the kind of a video with it. Was it just for the presentation, or or did you use the video when listening with the client?
No, I didn't use the video because she remembered that was the scene of the real movie where they went to the cinema, and she remembered the scene from the movie, and she remembered that there was some nice piece of music, very warm about this home or something. So I tried to find all the soundtracks of the Flow movie. So because it's very popular, it's Latvian actually, it's Oscar getting. So, and the very first one was this one. So, and I put it on, and she said, yes, that's the one. So I didn't need to show the video. I showed it to you so you could see how actually there is a connection between maybe her actually home situation and everything she experienced at home. Because before this theme, I didn't show you, but there was a lot of the dogs who are chasing this cat, and this cat is coming to the home, and there's this pleasant and very gentle piece of music. So I think it somehow resonated with her old home situation and everything she goes through, maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next one. Is it Stavroula now?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, Stavroula, hello.
So I share my screen.
Yes, Stavroula is again from the Greek group this time.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Perfect.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Stavroula Vlasopoulou. I am a psychologist, psychotherapist based in Athens, Greece. And my presentation has to do with using MIRE in a case study of developmental trauma. So my client is 15 years old. She's a secondary school student. She was referred to me by a child psychiatrist with the diagnosis of mixed anxiety and depressive disorder. She suffers from depressive symptoms and panic attacks. She refers a loss of energy and lack of interest in daily activities. And we have done 20 sessions so far. And my sessions were embodied in talk therapy sessions. So some clients' background details. My client comes from a middle-class family. She's the last member of a family of 5 members. Her parents got divorced in November 2023. There is a strong family history of psychiatric issues. Her mother is diagnosed with chronic depression and is under medication. And her father has severe alcoholic issues. There is a history of domestic abuse. Her father had been verbally, emotionally, and physically violent towards her mother. So, developmental trauma refers to the exposure to life-threatening events that happens through sensitive periods of child development, disrupts interpersonal attachments, and threatens an individual's safety. Dealing with these relationship separations and losses, my clients seems to experience intense levels of stress, leading to biological dysregulations. She feels alone, she feels distant to others, but at the same time, she wants to be close to them, but she doesn't know how. All this trauma leads to an increased sense of insecurity. I will focus on 6 sessions. In our first MI sessions, my client was quite nervous, confused, and expressed her feelings of anger towards her mother. She was quite hesitant to listen to music and draw while drawing. But she accepted to listen to Jail's reflections. The focus of this session was to release tensions and help her feel relaxed. She reported that this music helped her concentrate on herself and leave anger at some point. But it also made her, it left her feeling sad and brought to light her need to get distance from everyone. In this session, the second session, her mood was changing a lot from feeling nothing to confusion. She was unable to focus on a positive imagery, and I decided to introduce Bach's air on G string to foster mood management and emotion exploration. She expressed her disappointment from others, that others take her for granted and do not respect her. She also feels betrayed by her first friend that seems to be more distant. She wants to be alone, but at the same time be respected and accepted by others. In our third session, MI session, for the first time she started talking about her parents' divorce and described an incident where her father threatened her with a knife in the kitchen. She reported feeling frozen, unable to express any feeling. And at this point, the therapist, I decided to introduce Philip Glass, a secret agent. That proved to be a not successful choice. It is a dramatic piece that caused her to feel a lot of discomfort and led her to express the need to escape, as it was very difficult for her to bring back this memory again. We discussed it a lot in supervision and helped me reflect more on music choices afterwards. And in our fourth session, things got better. She was more calm. We listened to cinematic orchestra's version of the song Arrival of the Birds. The focus was to release, to help to foster emotion processing and stimulate imagination. As for the first time, she was willing to draw. She made this painting that depicts all her emotions. So childhood memories came to her mind after listening to this piece and filled her with nostalgia. And she recognizes for the first time not for the first time, but she recognizes how important it is for her to receive love and tenderness. And for the first time, she felt hope. Okay. In this session, she reported mixed feelings about the end of school year. We listened to Ludovico Einaudis time lapse. The focus was to bring memories to mind and process these conflicted emotions that's reported. After listening to this piece, she mentioned feeling afraid of growing up, of being adult and taking responsibilities. I try to reflect these feelings of fear and self-doubt while I remind her of her strength to get over all these difficulties and challenges that she faced over the year. And last but not least, now in this session, in this MI session, the overall process of the therapy was reviewed. For the first time, she chose a piece of her choice. She chose a piece, Manos Katzidakis' Waltz of the Lost Dreams, that made her reconnect with childhood memories, and she reported feeling more acceptant and safer, although we both recognize that there is a lot of therapy work to be done until she feels secure and until she feels secure again. So overall, working through MI with this client has been a powerful, though challenging experience for the therapist. It helped me find some more creative ways of working with these cases of complex trauma. And during this process, group supervision proved to be a valuable learning process through reflecting on music selections and on transference and content transference issues. As we agreed with the client, the contract will be continued, and some therapeutic goals for the future is to help her reestablish a sense of security, connect with inner self and find inner resources, and foster resilience for an unpredictable future. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Stavroula. Another very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
And I open the ground to our group here, whether there are any questions or comments.
And we have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Was a music preference or therapy selected? Most of them were selected by me, but in the last session, she made her own, the client made her own selection.
Martina asks whether there was a difference between you selecting versus the client selecting, yes, in motivation, safety, and so on.
Yes, of course. But I think that I also think that time helped because the relationship, the therapeutic relationship got better. So she felt more safe to make her own selection at that point, while she was quite hesitant at first.
So this shift, for her being able to select the music was also a sign of development.
Yes.
Because she was strong enough by that point, so that she was able to make her choices.
Yes, and at the same time with drawing.
Drawing.
So she didn't want to
Take
draw at
responsibility for
first.
herself.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Anything else? Before permitting music preference. So before permitting music preference, as clients should be feeling safe in advance, maybe. I'm not sure I understand the question. Yeah.
I am not sure this is necessary, but this client was quite resistant to all my thing. So it helped a lot that I chose for her.
Okay, so that's an explanation. This is not a discussion yet, but I'm also always intrigued in the easiness when we use music preferences in clinical work, as where it's not that safe for clients most of the time. But that's something for later. But I was questioning. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you too.
I would say that as a collaboration between the therapist and the client, and maybe Stavroula did not express this because it's not enough time in the presentations, but actually we choose music with the help of the client, using information that we have already been given from the client. So it's not, you know, it can be quite genuine, and sometimes we can also test the music with the client, you know, offer 1 or 2 or 3 choices and then go for what seems more appropriate at that moment. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of course, we can discuss forever because, you know, I understand that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good. Are we ready to move on? Yes. And what's on the schedule? Is it Xian? Wow. Olga asks whether parents participate to the therapy. Stavroula, that's for you before we go to Xian. Xian, you can prepare yourself.
Yeah, they no. We had some meetings with separate meetings with the mother, but they are in family therapy. Mother and the kids, not the father.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
All right, Xian from Ireland. Good.
Okay. Great.
Is it a way that you can make your screen bigger because we equally see you on one side and the presentation on the other side?
I'll try again.
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Good.
So this is my case study, music and imagery sessions with an electro producer with ASD. can I have it this way? Because if I have it full screen, I can't look at my script.
Okay, for me it's okay. I hope it is okay for all of us.
You should be
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
It should be fine, yeah. I think so.
Thank you. So I conducted 6 sessions with a 42-year-old male who is a very experienced electronic music producer. He has a late diagnosis of ASD, and he primarily uses Ableton Live to make music. That's his DAW, and he specializes in modular synthesis. So to the right there is a picture of his modular synth case and all his patch cables. So that would be his special interest. He loses himself in the world of modular synthesis. So I'll outline a session-by-session guide tailored to the strengths and preferences of an electronic musician, supporting neurodiversity, especially in autism, and making the sessions safe, expressive, and imaginative. The considerations for a neurodiverse client strengths to leverage might be strong pattern recognition and sound sensitivity, visual thinking, imagination, abstract processing, passion for music, especially electronic sound textures, structure and clarity, sensory regulation, giving control over how deep or abstract he might want to go, allow for stimming, silence or pause when needed, and using very non-judgmental language. So session 1, grounding and safe space creation. The goal for session 1 was just to build trust, to build on the therapeutic relationship, to co-create imagery, language, and to explore safe themes. So the pre-talk was a discussion around sensory sensitivities and music preferences, and I introduced to him the idea of the inner landscape, and I asked him what kind of places in music feel safe to you. The music I chose was ambient and slow-evolving electronic textures. I chose a track called Photosynthesis by Carbon-Based Lifeforms, and I chose a lot of ambient electronic tracks for these sessions because that is his world and his preferences. None of them had any lyrics or anything, but they're all more electronic tracks. So before each time he sat to listen to the piece and to close his eyes, I would give him an imagery prompt. So I asked him at this stage to imagine a place where he felt completely safe and free. And the processing, we did a mixture of different ways during the 6 sessions, but the processing for session 1 was a DAW activity using his favorite music making software Ableton Live, and create a track representing the safe space that he had experienced in his imagery journey. So in the pre-talk, he disclosed his dislike of loud public places or of multiple sounds coming from more than one source. And these situations can trigger rage within him, and he said that he tries to actively de-listen. He mentioned that his music preferences depend on his mood. He likes ambient tunes, but also likes what he called bangin' music too. So that would be quite heavy electro beats. He loves artists such as Aphex Twin and Boards of Canada, and he thought that the piece that I chose, Photosynthesis, was a fantastic piece of music, very intricate with lots of layers that develop over time. It brought him to a safe space, an island of vibration with lots of trees and plants all whooshing up and down. I don't have the time to go into the lengthy discussion we had of his imagery journey and how he used that to create his first track, One Man is an Island, but I hope to play the track. I'm hoping that this works. And some screenshots there of him creating the track in Ableton Live. I'll stop it there because it's quite a long piece, but you could hear just before I stopped it the kind of whooshing sound that he was trying to convey in his imagery journey with the plants and the flowers all whooshing upwards. So session 2, Journey Through Soundscape, the goal was to help him explore a personal journey using music as a guide. And in the pre-talk, we built on the last session's imagery. I asked him if that place, which was the island of vibration, if that place had a doorway, where would it lead? The music was slightly more dynamic and cinematic electronic piece. I chose a track called Music is Math by Boards of Canada. The imagery prompt I gave to him before he listened to the piece was step into a sound world and let it carry you. What do you find? And with the processing, he did another track on Ableton Live, creating a 3-section journey. So this journey he continued on from his safe space, the island from the last session. He created another track, this time with a distinct beginning, middle, and end. The first part was when he felt himself floating upwards. He slowly opened the filter to represent this. The introduction of the arpeggio marks the middle and represents him becoming aware of other entities around him bouncing around and coupling up. He said the dark side and the light side were seeking each other to balance themselves out. And at the end, the arpeggiator fades out as energies were coupling up and ascending upwards towards a bright light. Reverb for extra spaciness and high frequencies represent this. So I'm going to play his piece entitled One Man is a Dark, Empty Void. And you could hear those very high frequencies at the end representing the two sides, the dark sides and the light side, finding each other, coupling up and ascending upwards. So session 3, emotional mapping through music. The goal was to connect emotional states with sound and imagery. We did a pre-talk. We briefly talked about a recent emotion that he had experienced. And I chose a piece that, he chose the piece that reflects the emotional tones, the emotion that he chose. The track turned out to be Non-Eternal Part 1, which is a new part of Max Richter's Sleep album, a new part only released recently. And the imagery prompt was, what does that emotion look or move like inside of you? And the processing, he had a choice between translating into a synth patch or abstract drawing, and he chose to do a drawing for this. So we started this session. Usually I would do some breathing with him, but this time we started using a preferred short song of his, Abril 14 by Aphex Twin, to do some breath work to before the main listening session, as this helps get into a more relaxed and meditative state, a mild altered state of consciousness conducive to retreating into the imagination. And the recent emotion he wanted to focus on was joy, as seeing Sleep performed by Max Richter in London the week or so before. So he was overjoyed to see it was the 10-year anniversary of Sleep performed in London, an 8-hour long overnight gig, and he had recently attended this. So he requested one of the new parts of Sleep to journey with, and for a change he decided he would create artwork. So here is his artwork that he created after the imagery journey. He titled it Self-Oscillation. And in his words, surfing on sine waves, all there was joy and some angels singing. As above, so below. The wave was a bursting wave of light and energy between the worlds of wakefulness and sleep, the hypnagogic. The eyes are the universe looking back in on itself. And he took about 20 minutes to do this piece. Session 4, Inner Strength and Identity. The goal was to explore resilience, identity, or his gifts. In the pre-talk, I asked what part of you feels the strongest or most creative. And the music was a track with rhythmic progression, evolution, or uplifting arcs. I chose a track called Says by Niels Fram. The imagery prompt for this session was meet a part of you that holds your power or creativity. And for the processing, it could involve drawing that character or making a loop. So he relayed afterwards that his imagination feels like the strongest and most creative part of himself. The character that held this for him was a deeply rooted tree. And again, he chose artwork to express this in this session. This piece of artwork he called When I Met It, I Became It. That was the tree. All I could see were the roots of a tree branching out into infinity. The branches were reaching into infinity for inspiration, while the roots keep me grounded. The roots were earth or science, while the branches were the spiritual. To exist as both and one, I felt being the tree as well as encountering it as another being. Session 5, Releasing and Transforming. The goal was to let go of an old pattern or story through a music and imagery journey. And the pre-talk, we talked about limiting beliefs or difficult emotions that he experienced. I felt like by session 5, he was ready for this. And this was the only session that I introduced a bit of challenging music. So the music, I chose 2 contrasting pieces. The first one was darker and heavier, and then the second one was a lighter one. So track 1 was Prism by Tim Hecker, which was a fairly dark and jarring piece. And then track 2 was Untitled Number 3, Sam Schietti by Sigur Rós, which was the exact opposite. It was ambient and peaceful and expansive. So the imagery prompt I gave him was, you're carrying something heavy, where do you take it? And to process, in Ableton Live, he created a distorted sound and transformed it through FX chains. So within the pre-talk, he confessed that all emotions were difficult for him and that he struggled with social situations and struggled with low self-confidence. He admitted that the first track felt like being in a washing machine full of razor blades, but the second track was a relief. And he felt lighter and was able to fly to a height where he could drop his struggles and fly higher. He enjoyed the feeling of flying unburdened. He said, the exercise made me feel powerful. I feel like a wizard, like an alchemist. I realize it is up to me to let go of things, and I am the master of my own life. So this is the track that he produced. I'll just warn you, the first bit is probably unpleasant to hear. But the whole point was to start off with a distorted piece of music and to transform it into something pleasant, like his journey. And that was his track. And actually, that track was called Alchemy. I mistakenly put the wrong title up there, but that was called Alchemy. So the final session, session 6, Integration and Vision. The goal was to reflect over all the sessions, to integrate experiences and imagine future possibilities. The pre-talk, we talked about what surprised him during the journey of the whole 6 sessions. And with the music, I invited him to choose a track so that he guided the musical direction. I gave him a choice of 2 tracks, and he chose track 1, A Strangely Isolated Place by Ulrich Schnaus. The imagery prompt was, imagine your next chapter, what is unfolding ahead? And with the processing, we decided to combine sound, drawing, and discussion to produce an artwork that represented the whole music and imagery journey. So he was listening to the track and talking and doing the piece of artwork at the same time. And he came away with this final piece of artwork. He called it Infinite Spiral. And within his journey, he said, it felt like I was in a massive spiral like a Milky Way. All the legs were possible tunes that I could make in the future. Vibrations coming out from the center of the spiral, each one sending out energy pockets. It seemed like endless possibilities. And you can't really make it out, but he really went to town. He used glitter and highlighters and everything there. So that was really interesting. So the final thoughts, in his words, from the whole journey of music and imagery through the 6 sessions. I thought the 6 sessions were all very interesting, a great outlet, doing things that I don't usually do. Nice for someone else to select music to journey with. The music surprised me. It was a great selection. I found it a good insight into my own psyche. Interesting to share what I think with others because it's wacky. To let someone else see that wackiness was interesting and fun. I felt seen and understood. So that's my presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you to MIRE for the opportunity.
Very powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sian. That was really, really interesting. And well, I will not comment. I invite people to make questions or comments. I found it very interesting personally.
I'm just interested in how long did it take him to produce those pieces of music within a session? Was it fairly instant?
Yes, he's an incredibly experienced electronic music producer. So, I mean, some of them, it just took a few minutes. When he created the distorted track and transformed it into something more pleasant, that literally took about 5 minutes.
Thanks, Jean. I thought it was really interesting. You had questions for each session, so it's like you had a goal for each session?
Yes, I devised a 6-session journey, basically.
Okay. So it was quite directive in that sense.
Yeah, but that lends itself well to people with ASD structure.
Yeah. Mm.
And there was about two sessions where he chose the music. So.
Yes, yeah.
There's a question from Eliana in the chat. How did you know if he was ready for the heavy releasing part in session 5?
I think as a therapist, I'm a qualified music therapist and supervisor. I think as a therapist, you just know your client. And this was the 5th session, and I felt like he could handle a bit of a challenge. And I made sure I didn't challenge him too much. But just going on building the therapeutic relationship and how comfortable he was getting with me and with it all, I just felt like he could handle it, and he did. He didn't enjoy it, but he handled it well.
We had a little bit of adventure here in the house. Thank you. Thank you.
Maria asks, do you think he would be receptive to other music genres apart from electronic music? Yes, classical music. He did in the first pre-talk express that he hated pop music and there were a very few. He tended to prefer music without lyrics.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we have one more. Erika. Erika is from Latvia.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Erika Reitere, and I'm a music therapist from Latvia, and it is honor to be part of this inspirational conference. Today, I will share my experience of using music imagery for resilience and emotional regulation in the context of working with individuals with neurodevelopmental disorders. Neurodevelopmental disorders are behavioral and cognitive disorders that appear in the early stages of development and are characterized by significant difficulties in acquiring and performing specific intellectual, motor, language, or social skills. Developmental stages generally refer to the period before the age of 18, regardless of when the diagnosis is made. The etiology of many of these disorders remains highly complex and not fully understood. It is believed that they are primarily caused by genetic or other factors present from birth. However, inefficient environmental situation or a lack of appropriate learning opportunities and experiences may also contribute to the development of neurodevelopmental disorders. The most common neurodevelopmental disorders include autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, intellectual developmental disorder, and specific language learning disorders. We began working with the MIRE technique as soon as I had completed the training, and I implemented it at least once a week with 2 adult groups in a day center. In my groups, there are clients with various neurodevelopmental disorders. These are closed groups, and the participants know each other very well. The first group consists of participants with more severe impairments, most of whom are nonverbal and also experience mobility difficulties. Due to their neurodevelopmental disorders, these participants are unable to engage in reflection and often struggle to understand the given tasks in music therapy or to independently retrieve instruments from the storage cabinet. The second group consists of clients with milder impairments who are able to verbalize their thoughts, although often without deeper engagement. For the purpose of this technique, my workplace kindly provided us A3 drawing boards and A3 sheets of paper. In these sessions, we used only the MIRE playlist. Interestingly, the clients consistently prefer drawing with felt-tip pens, markers, very rarely choosing crayons or pencils. Although the group with moderate impairments included clients with mobility difficulties and some who were unable to express themselves verbally, almost all were engaged in the process and understood what was expected of them. In all sessions, the focus was placed on resources, allowing the music to guide the process. I was very surprised to discover that clients who could not speak or participate in active music therapy were able to draw, sometimes not only abstract forms, but also concrete objects, thus communicating through the combined language of music and art. Most often, we implemented the 4-square technique, as well as the simple technique of allowing oneself to be carried by the music while drawing, without any evaluation of the music itself. In the one-off sessions, we also introduced the 4 squares version with the Bach air. Interestingly, during this exercise, some participants spontaneously made the sign of the cross. What stood out to me was that the participants were able to distinguish the character of the music and notice the differences, even though it was the same piece performed in different interpretation. Among these, the orchestral version appeared to be one that resonated most strongly with them. Here you can see the works of the first group, whose clients have more severe impairments. Interestingly, the MIRE technique often connected with the themes of the session that preceded it. For example, before this particular MIRE activity, we had a warm-up exercise entitled How Do I Feel Through the Van Gogh Paintings. Each client was invited to select a painting that resonated with them that day and then to express the feeling through musical improvisation. In this photo, you can see that a client who had chosen sunflowers from the Van Gogh cards carried this theme into the MIRE for Squares process, and it's permitted in the entire session. She later explained that flowers, especially sunflowers, make her happy, and that the music reminded her of flower gardens. This was particularly significant as this client often finds it difficult to express in the group and quite frequently responds with, "I don't know." Yet through this technique, she was able to share that the flowers represent the beauty of the flowers that bring the joy to everyday life. The second group consists of participants with milder impairments, including conditions such as adult autism and moderate intellectual disability. Nevertheless, all of them are verbal and to some extent able to express their thoughts. Here you can see the works of the second group created using the 4 squares technique. In this work, the client wrote that the music calmed and relaxed her. While listening, she perceived the sea and imagined seagulls flying in the sky. In the third square, she experienced a meadow filled with flowers and buzzing bees, while the fourth she drew her dream house, a place where she hopes to live one day, which was able to see and feel during this music listening session. This creative process not only reflected her inner imaginary, but also revealed how music opened a pathway to her envisioned and hopeful and deeply personal future. The young client who created this work is deeply interested in technology and computers in his daily life. He particularly enjoys different types of speakers and music headphones. His passion also appeared in his drawings, where he both depicted and heard imagery related to technology. In everyday life, he often struggles with thoughts of rejection and worthlessness, feeling that no one wants to be friends with him. However, after one of MIRE exercises, he expressed for the first time that he feels self-sufficient and that it is others that do not wish to connect with him. It is their issue rather than his own. It was great joy to see this shift in their perspective, and even more so to witness him recently finding his very first job, a position he truly wanted. Participants often depict nature as a resource in their artwork. In this piece, elements such as sea, the sun, and animals emerge as resources in the client's lives. In this particular work, the resource is not only nature, but also quality sleep, highlighting how multiple factors contribute to their client's well-being. In this client artwork, nature emerges as a strategic resource, offering a space to renew energy and experience joy. This is a work of a client who initially had difficulty understanding what exactly she was supposed to do. She laughed and said, "I will just draw some squares." However, as the music began to move her, she became fully engaged and exclaimed, "Wait, I'm not finished yet." She later expressed positive feedback about this technique and how it allowed her to immerse herself in the creative process. Next, you will see the works created during the listening and drawing exercises. While listening to the piece Tenderless, nature and the sea again emerged as resources. For these individuals, being by the sea is a significant event that rarely occurs. Through this exercise, they have the opportunity to experience the sea while remaining in the music therapy room. In this work, we can see also the nature and trees. Although the client struggles with verbal communication, he can express himself through his drawing. This gives him a chance to speak without words and to be seen and heard in non-verbal way. Other group members have also experienced this, connecting with the music and the creative process, feeling that their expressions are recognized and valued even without speech. In this client's drawing, trees and flowers also appear as resources in her life. She shared that she really enjoys going for walks and especially likes the trees in the park. My music therapy room is located right next to the old park with beautiful ponds and century-old trees, which makes this connection even more meaningful. Together with the piece Elder Scrolls Scream for Horizons, the music carried the client to a sunny day by a waterfall, creating a vivid and immersive experience. Here's the work of a client who is nonverbal and has difficulty engaging in the music therapy process. He rarely participates actively in the group activities, tends to be withdrawn, and often seems to live in his own world. Yet he made an effort to create something through drawing. The MIRE technique provides an excellent opportunity for all participants to engage in group activities and tasks, regardless of their physical or cognitive abilities, challenges that can often make participants in traditional music therapy very difficult. In the work of a participant from the second group with adult autism, while listening to Elder Scrolls Scream for Horizons, the music carried him into the space, imagining different planets and landscapes. This visualization reflects his creativity and the ability to engage emotionally with the music, offering him a richer inner experience. Interestingly, in this work, while listening to the piece Arrival of the Birds, the theme of birds also appeared in the client's drawing, even though the participants didn't know the title of the music. Once again, the sea and the nature is important resources for the clients, a place to restore energy and regain strength. Observing my work with the clients, I have concluded that the MIRE technique provides profound benefit across emotional, social, and accessibility domains. Emotionally, it supports improved mood, enhances positive feelings, and fosters a sense of satisfaction and well-being. Clients often experience moments of joy, relaxation, and engagement with the inner world, facilitated by the combination of music and creative expression. Socially, the technique encourages greater participation, connection, and engagement within the group, allowing individuals to feel seen, accepted, and understood. It creates a safe and inclusive space where the participants can interact in meaningful ways, even if their verbal communication is very limited. From an accessibility perspective, MIRE offers a unique opportunity for individuals who cannot express themselves verbally to communicate through art and music. It enables all clients, regardless of their cognitive, emotional, and physical challenges, to actively engage in the therapeutic process, express their inner experience, and feel a sense of empowerment and recognition with the group setting. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to learn this MIRE technique, and I will certainly continue to apply it in my music therapy sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika. Very clear and interesting. And we invite any feedback or questions from the group.
How much prompting did you give them verbally, or did you just let them respond to the music?
I was just a short prompt that they should music they do not to evaluate the music and let the music do the work and just move them to the experience. It should be very clear for them, not too much.
We also have some comments on the chat. Great. So, as we're coming towards the end of today's meeting, I wonder whether we could just open the space to other participants for general sharing of your, learnings and experiences from this course. Any thoughts or suggestions that we can take further? Any thoughts about the future? But always related to the experience you just had from this MIRE course. So anything that you would like to share with us, you're very welcome. And it can be some statements, it can be discussion. We have about a quarter of an hour until we finish our meeting.
I'll just say that I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do this. I absolutely loved the experience. I think it's a powerful and beautiful thing to be able to bring to people in a therapy setting, and this has just sparked my passion for doing the whole qualification, for trying to do the whole Body Methods GIM training. But I'll certainly be working away on this and until I can figure out how to do that. But just thank you so much, and as well for on the platform for all the amazing papers. So many amazing papers to get for free. That's incredible. So thank you for that. I'm going through them. It'll take me a while, but they're really interesting. Some really interesting papers. So thank you for that as well. And thank you for all the support. Thanks.
Thank you, Sian. Maria says that my capacity to listen to the music is sharpening since now I'm also more open to symbolic layers in imagery. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
I would love to say that I remember that the time when I was in university, and our lectures was teaching us about the GIM method, and then she said that, oh well, you cannot use it because of you should have this training or what, that etc. And now I'm so glad that I actually could learn how to use it and do it like, I guess we're gonna get some license or whatever, how you call it, so we can use it really, which is also for how you say it, remade for Europe and for our clients. And the other thing is that for me it's so helpful because very often I'm getting a bit tired of this active type of music therapy when we all the time are like kind of, I call myself sometimes clown because you're all the time doing this interaction between each other all the time. And this method allows also me to be a little bit more relaxed while the patient is listening to the music, and I could listen and also a bit like more calming myself also. So for me, I find it helpful, not even for my clients, but also for me being there and doing those like sessions a little bit more like in deeper level, I would say. Even with those who are very in with mental disabilities, also a bit deeper level. Like, so thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very glad to have it.
Thank you, Ariadna. Yes, I must clarify here yet that for those who will finish all requirements of the MIRE course, it actually qualifies as an MI, Music and Imagery course, accredited by the European Association for Music and Imagery. And that is also the part one of the full GIM Boni method. So actually people who have finished this course, they have done one part of the GIM method, and they can of course continue later with the full GIM method. But they will get a certification from SONORA as an affiliated organization of the European Association for Music and Imagery, and they can be certified as music and imagery therapists, practitioners. Yes. We have more comments. Tim, thank you so much to all the case study presenters, very generous and all really informative and inspiring. Thank you also to all the MIRE folks. Tim is from Ireland, and then we have Alina from Latvia. This is a very beautiful to become more aware of therapeutic way of music playing and listening. Very glad to dive deeper and deeper with more knowledge and awareness. Thank you so much. And then Martina, great, thanks for this splendid conference and which you made so accessible. Thank you, Martina.
Yes, it's so nice to share experiences. And I'm a senior lecturer and researcher from the Netherlands, and I was working for 30 years with depressions. So I have two questions. Can I ask it here? Well, the first is that I'm so surprised to listen to the case presentation because that's something I forget sometimes in my work. Like I'm theorizing and gathering evidence-based knowledge, but it's all in the way how we encounter our clients. So thank you for that, and it's very different in presentation and framework. But my core question is that I'm always interested in as for the GIM and music and imagery, I had always hesitations to use it in my clinical work because for my clinical depressed clients, going to a journey with music listening and addressing symbolic meaning was also such a risk for them, because in clinical work, people have no possibilities to have a lot of control on what is happening. So that's a question maybe for more of you. That's how do you encounter that in your clinical work, the hesitations of presenting the music to your client, and then are you sure where the client is going to in his mind, with his feelings? Because I also had a lot of risks for decompensation. That's something I learned in the clinic I work. So if you do too many confronting things like listening to music, people get lost in the music and you can't get them back. And with depression, it can take an hour before a client understands his reactions or responses or emotional responses. So there's a big gap between the music, the perception of music, the perception of sound, the information processing. So how do you deal with that in clinical practice?
I don't want to answer that. Does anybody from the group want to answer from your experiences?
May I say something? I would also feel very insecure if that was my main therapeutic tool. My think talk therapy is there to balance these risks. And this is what makes me feel more safe, that I am a systemic therapist first, and I can use any other tool in order to open. Να δώσω ερεθίσματα, please help.
If trigger, no, not trigger. Offer
new opportunities and new ways to feel and think, but I mostly work with the postdoc, and this makes me feel more secure about what I'm choosing, doing, and propose to my clients. I don't know if that helps in any way.
Yeah, in a way that then you think that your client is able to respond to your instructions, to the music, and to the reflections. And for me, that's always the field which is most challenging.
Well, I would say that there are, sorry, Olga, yeah.
Sorry, it's not very easy for me to express myself in English because I'm Greek. I'm trying to go step by step, try, ask, have feedback, and this is the only way I can go with it.
I want to ask people who have done the training here, do they share the same concern with Martine? Olga said somehow yes, but how many people have the same concern? Just raise your hand, or and if you don't have the same concern, why not? We have 1, 2 people have the same concern. The ones that do not have this concern, 3, okay? Mm-hmm.
May I? I'm sorry. Yeah. May I say something?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Well, for example, in CBT, when a client comes to you, he's not familiar with CBT, and a lot of them, when you introduce to them, this homework, let's say, they're not willing to do it. Yeah. But you're following the CBT and you're explaining this is the technique. He wants to, I don't know, he has agoraphobia or he wants to cut smoking or whatsoever. So there is like protocol that you need to follow. How are you going to present it to him? So in my opinion, it's like the same way. How can you offer the music therapy, this specific approach to your client? Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So are you saying that the protocol you use is your framework where you can head to in case something occurs which is unexpected? So I work with protocols, but they're more from a cognitive behavioral protocol because that's how we work in the Netherlands. And but it's interesting if this protocol is a kind of safe construction also for the interaction with your clients and the responses to the music.
Well, in my opinion, during the first sessions is when you get to know each other, you're taking the history and you're building the relationship with your client. Yeah, that the relationship is based on trust. So your client needs to have trust that you will guide him. Yeah, so you're suggesting this type of fruit. Yeah. I suggested for this, maybe we can try this one. Yeah, is he willing? Is he not? No. You're not risking anything. You can ask. You can suggest it. What can he gain from that?
Of course.
Yeah, but here in MIRE, we also have safety locks.
Mm.
We can minimize the risk, and we can minimize the risk with many ways of doing it. It's a kind of protocol, but it's also something that we learn through training. And that's why maybe our students here did not raise their hands, because they don't actually feel that much of a risk when working with depressive or difficult clients. And history, as Elena says, is the first thing. The second thing is it's very different when you let the client listen to the music and guide it. Let the music take you whenever you need to go. It's completely different when you work with a focus. So actually, when you work with a focus, you limit the experience, you make it more contained to, one thing at a time, all right? So he doesn't really get lost in the music, which is a possibility, I agree with you, okay? But there are ways that you can protect that and contain it, either verbalizing it or with a specific, setting a specific focus or intention and collaborating, said before. Excuse me. Okay. And then in MIRE, we also work in two different levels. If we want to go on supportive edge, there are ways to make the experience more supportive and contained. If we want to go directly in the working issue and work directly with the depression, the anger, anything that is there, then we go deeper and we use a different way of introducing music to the client. And the effect is different in a psychological level as well. Does it make sense?
I completely agree. Yeah. But I found it also interesting to define the protocol and get the space in the protocol for the client's individual responses.
Yeah.
But I was always very aware of there's a name for it, of the depression collapse, which was always a risk in music therapy. So in talking therapy, it's verbal therapy, it's easier for clients.
There is a risk, but I take it for granted there is always some kind of verbal processing.
Yeah, of course.
And this is part of the contained experience, because if you don't articulate the experience, actually it doesn't help integration. So we always have to integrate. And sometimes, we have difficult sessions, of course, and the music can be really nasty, let's say, and people get lost or, any kind of difficult experience. But then we have the time with them to process this, because sometimes it's quite revealing. Difficult experiences in the music can be quite revealing generally, and they can give many interesting insights for the therapists that we wouldn't be able to reach only with verbal therapy. So it's I think it's very fruitful in that sense.
Thank you. And there's a lot of work to publish about that and write about those interactions, I think.
That's a good idea, Martina. Let's do it.
A case study book, a new one.
Yeah. I am up for it.
Yeah. But specifically, because we as music therapists, we don't like to, we are addressed in that way, but we don't like to speak too much about it. But if we write about it and if we talk about it, everyone recognizes it and agrees that, of course, you need this and you need that and you need safety. But it's not clear in literature always that the specific work starts there. But thank you, Evangelina. And always also for this beautiful conference.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, when I talk with my students about this, they have this blanco face, like, oh, is there something happening between the music and the client, and is the brain involved, and how does it work? It's like a big gap of knowledge, and it's so interesting to feel that, of course. So I will bring in that again in classes to practice that.
Good to know. Good to know. Good. Thank you. Many, many wonderful comments. Thank you all. Maria Fagnan had made a comment. I think that the therapeutic boundaries and professional responsibility permit us to alleviate potential risks like overwhelming imagery and emotional flooding. Yes, of course. Yeah, and then we have people with special thanks. Yeah, we really enjoy that. We really enjoy that. And I enjoy that personally as a main trainer, leading all these 3 events together with my colleagues here, Mirza and Rebecca. It was really, really fruitful for all of us, and we really, really enjoy that. And we hope to have another opportunity to make more things together and spread the word to other people, to other professionals, and new practices for all of us.
Maybe I would like to say something.
Yes.
I would like to say that in Latvia, music is a very important part of life and is used in a wide variety of areas of life. And there are also many specialists who offer various types of help to improve psycho-emotional health and well-being. They also use music, but so far there has been insufficient knowledge about the correct use of music and its effects. The goal of this project was to provide knowledge about this. Therefore, I'm very happy that this project has been implemented and that in Latvia there will be more specialists with new knowledge about how to use music to improve the quality of people's lives. I'm very happy about this, and thanks to colleagues, thanks to Rebecca, and especially thank you, Evie, and thanks to all participants. It was very, very nice journey together.
Thank you, Mirza. Thank you all, and stay tuned. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.